Hey folks, been a while since we've seen each other, so we're going to do a little update here. New project has arrived. Um, you guys have probably heard about the Audi. I won't go into that one right now, but we kind of came across a big project. It's a street car, not going to be track car. I am improving the suspension, but just going to be for driving around and going on runs with fellow fanatics of this particular brand or model. So, without further ado, let's see what it is.
So here we go, off on another Spirited Drives head-crushing adventure. I crush your head. Nothing like Guns N' Roses for a nice, relaxing start to your day.
That's
I
right.
think I'll kill the music. No soundtrack on this video. So, what are we doing today?
I have no idea.
All right.
Who's that foreign man with
Yeah.
the mustache?
Right? Yeah, so here about 4 or 5 days ago, Matt discovered he was finally able to start growing facial hair, and it's coming in nicely.
Thank you.
We're somewhere between Goose from Top Gun and Motorcycle Cop. I haven't quite decided yet.
Oh, okay.
But you look dashing.
Oh, thank you. My goal is who's that old cowboy in every movie?
Sam Elliott.
Yeah, that's my goal.
You're going for the Sam
I'm
Elliott?
the goal is Sam Elliott.
Beef. It's what's for dinner.
That's right. That's what I'll be saying every time I see
Just
somebody.
say, just random. That's like your greeting, right? So you can't see it on the video. Maybe you can kind of see it, but behind me is a Mini, an awfully tall Mini, because it's sitting up on my trailer. And what we are going to do today, or at least what I was going to do today, what I am going to do today, today, is take this over and drop it off at James Thompson's house so he can do an alignment on it. I'm chewing the tires up on it, and they're only a year old. And I don't like taking my classic Minis to Les Schwab and
Oh, really?
yeah, because sometimes things happen to classic Minis.
So, is he gonna do it with the string?
I hope so. Old school, 60s style, because it is a classic Mini. No, people take their classic Minis to repair shops, muffler shops, tire shops, and I'd say at least half the time they come back with things crushed. It's really hard to count on the fact that they're going to put the lift underneath it in the right place. Minis are very, very particular. There's only a few spots. Yeah, there's only a couple of spots underneath the classic Mini where you can put a lift, and a lot of times a tire shop goes, "I heck with it, close enough," and you end up with, I don't know how many classic Minis I've seen with crushed floor pans and stuff. Anyway, so Thompson's going to do an alignment on it for me. Now, Bill Johnson, who we're on our way to go pick up right now.
Oh, he's gonna ride with us.
He is.
Oh, okay.
Purchased his first classic Mini a week or two ago from James Thompson. So I saw Bill the other day and said, I'm going to go over and drop my classic off. I'm going to have an empty trailer. He hasn't picked it up yet.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to pick it up. Yeah.
Okay. It's going to be a long day of Mexican, Chinese fire drill.
Fire drill, right.
Yeah.
That's not very culturally sensitive of you, by the way.
I know. Well, I wanted to include everybody.
That's good. At least you made the right.
I'm inclusive.
You are. That's true.
And American.
And American.
There we go.
And you have a mustache. So
I got it from Bill.
Yeah. Now, Bill.
Too close a proximity. You get close to one guy with a mustache, then everybody starts having mustaches.
I'm sure
There's
Bill
a problem.
Maybe Bill would like to. Maybe you could trade him for a head of hair. Ooh,
oh no, I'm gonna keep my head of hair. Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna just be shuttling Minis around all day, and then it's funny. So we just got done doing Mini Meet West, which we've been planning for 9 months. Meetings together, Zoom meetings and phone calls. We spend all last week actually pulling off the event. Very successful event. I'm getting everyone apparently had a great time. And here it is just a few days later, and James Thompson, Bill Johnson, you and I are all going to see each other again. It's like we can't stay away from each other.
No.
Like we're putting the band back together.
After what, 2 days?
After
the band being broken up.
Right? It's like, this can't be all there is.
Yeah. That's it?
Yeah, maybe we'll start planning another event just because that's what we do now.
We start planning Mini Me 2027.
Oh God. I don't ever want to think about doing another mini meet again. I'm sure I will somehow be involved with one.
You're getting drug into it.
Man, when that last day of mini meet, people were talking about we can't wait for you to do it again. I was saying thank you, but in my head I was just dying. I don't ever want to think about doing. A lot of people that are not into classic minis, they knew I was doing this event, but they don't understand how it moves around from club to club.
Yeah.
And they would say, "Hey, it looks like you pulled off a great event. Now you can start planning for next year's." Oh, the hell I am.
Right.
I'm done.
But you are going to go to San Francisco.
I'm gonna go Santa Maria.
Santa Maria. Yeah.
San Francisco Club's putting it on. I've never been. You ever been to Santa Maria, California?
I've driven through it.
It looks pretty from
Yeah.
the pictures that I see.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna go. I'm gonna trailer my car down. I'm gonna be a wuss. These guys, these diehards, drive theirs, man, and that's awesome. More power to them. I'm a sissy. I'm gonna trailer mine down.
It would be awesome to take the 101, the PCH.
Just take like 3 or 4 days with it.
Yeah.
Maybe if Thompson was like, or if James Thompson and Chris went, were like part of the caravan with their tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd think about it, but I hope you go. That'd be awesome.
I would like to go.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go see what's going on with Bill and head over to James, take a look at what toys he's got that he's working on, drop mine off, pick Bill's up. Let's have it's like a mini meet.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's go see what Bill's got going on. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Ben, how is it doing?
Good. Hey, I got an idea.
What's that?
The four of us have not, you, Matt, James Thompson, and I haven't seen each other in at least 3 days. Let's go over to James Thompson's house and hang out again.
We should do that because, you know, it has been an entire 3 days.
That's right.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do with ourselves now. I'll have to start making drives over from Idaho once a week. Make up some excuse. Matt and I were talking on the way here. We could plan a mini meet that's just the four of us. We could like go over to James Thompson's house, park our minis in front of his garage.
I like that idea.
That's a good idea.
I'm sure James will love it too.
I'm sure he's got nothing going on after taking a week off of work. So I'm going to drop my mini off to get an alignment done on it. We're picking yours up. Tell me again, what is it you bought from him?
A 1971 Morris 1000 of Canadian build originally.
So it's a very polite car then.
Apparently.
The maple syrup edition.
Yeah. It's nicknamed Rusty for obvious reasons.
That's weird. An old English car that's rusty.
I know it's really unheard of, especially coming out of Canada. But it is what it is. But it also comes with all the parts to fix it.
Yeah. So we're gonna take.
Not the labor.
He didn't throw in labor. What the hell?
I know.
That's a fun
Malarkey.
deal. Yeah, I call bullshit.
This is America.
I know. I should get free labor. It's America.
That's right. I'm entitled to that. So when we pick your car up, I'm going to look at all the parts and stuff you're getting with it, but just run it through me again. I know the car, like you said, is pretty rusty, but it comes with a 1275.
It's a 1275 A plus.
Is it already in it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, apparently the car was a driver. According to James, a scary driver because he thinks it's going to fall in half.
It's that bad.
He thinks so. I'll get under it and see. Everybody has their own definition of what's scary. Apparently, somebody else didn't think it was that scary. There's some fiberglass in the floor. It just really more depends on what the sills look like and that sort of thing.
Now it comes with a floor.
Comes with a complete sill-to-sill floor with the big centerpiece that the seats bolt to. It's all ready to go. It's about a $1,500 piece.
We all kind of grew up on air-cooled Volkswagen, so I always want to call it a floor pan. Is it? Yeah.
Well, they are floor pans. They still call them that. Yeah.
Right. So it comes with the full floor. So the rusty floor, fiberglass in the floor, not a problem because you're getting a full floor. What else are you getting with this thing?
A front end. So if there's any rust up in the front end, I can fix that. And it looks, there's some bubbles underneath the paint on a couple spots on the driver, the left side front fender. So there may be some stuff going on there. We'll see. I didn't see anything when we looked at it originally. I didn't see anything in the engine compartment.
Okay.
We looked in the trunk. There didn't seem to be anything. You know, the boot floor was good. Around the suspension, the shock towers and stuff looked good. So James's thought was that the sunroof, that the 1970s vintage sunroof.
It's like the glass thing that's just...
Yeah, somebody just cut a hole in the roof and popped this thing in and they all leak.
Yeah.
His thought was that it leaked over years or condensed on the glass. and that caused a leak, which for me would indicate it's probably rusty in the centers of the floor mostly. Again, without pulling the carpet and the seats out, it'll be hard to tell, but
It's cool. It's got a 1275.
yeah, it's a 1270, and it's a late 1275. It's an A+.
Oh,
So
even better.
yeah, and James, according to what he said, bought it for the engine.
Oh,
He actually bought it for
that's
the engine.
right.
He was just going to sell it as a rolling chassis. And I went back to him and said, okay, what do you want for with everything in it? Because that way, that gives me a somewhat functional car without having to go out and find the stuff myself.
So Rusty Mini comes with new floor, a front clip.
Yeah. It could have come with a roof clip as well. He has one sitting there.
So it's a complete car. We get a roof. The car comes with a roof, a nose, a floor pan. Does it come with doors, a rear end, and sides?
It comes with door skins.
You know what I'm just saying? It reminds me of what's the thing? This is my father's. This is my grandfather's hatchet. He replaced the head, and I replaced the handle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some of that, but I mean, that's fairly typical of old British cars as a
Right.
general rule. So, I'm not actually going to take the roof panel because I'm getting a Webasto sunroof for it. I don't know whether James has that today or not. He has to get it from somebody else.
And what is that again?
That's the sliding cloth sunroof.
The nice looking one.
Right, yeah. So this is the whole kit, an NOS kit, brand new in the box still.
Well, joking aside, I mean, with what you're getting, you've got what you need to make a pretty nice car.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the car is pretty decent already.
Cool. Well, I'm anxious to go take a look at it. So we'll drop mine off. We'll pick yours up and see what whatever else we can fit on the trailer. Get all your pieces home. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it should be.
Mini adventure. None of us are working today. None of us are doing that job thing. Let's go play with cars
No
instead.
responsibilities.
No responsibilities. All right, car adventure. Let's go see what's going on at Thompson's. All right, return trip, different Mini. We had a black Mini on the back. Now we got a silver Mini because
Bill has a Mini now.
Bill has a Mini now. Now you've worked on these, but this is their first one.
First one I've owned, and it'll probably be about the third or fourth one I've worked on.
Something like that. Traffic.
Gotta love Western Washington traffic.
Hi,
Well, we didn't launch your Mini off the back, so that's good news.
Yeah, well, you know, Mini Tahoe.
Yeah. All right, man. So you got big plans for this thing. I want to document it right here on tape. Now, this thing needs a lot of work. You're going to take it pretty much down to the steel and build this thing from the ground up, right?
That's kind of the plan, yeah.
All right. So right now it's this funky silver with, of course, the black bonnet stripes. Got to have bonnet stripes on your Mini. That's why I don't run them, because everybody else does. But when you get done with this thing, what are we looking at? What are you going to do?
It'll have a Webasto sunroof instead of the little 1970s leaky sunroof that it has now.
Yeah.
It'll have a whole bunch of new body panels on it that aren't rusty,
Okay.
and that are properly protected against rusting.
Cool. Good idea.
Yeah. As for the engine and transmission, I'm going to leave fairly much as it is. It currently has, it was originally a Morris 1000, so 998. It currently has a 1275A plus, which is
Yeah, I'm gonna pause you right here, Matt. This is being recorded, but also you're like mentally documenting this, right?
Oh yeah.
Bill says he's gonna run a 1275, not a turbocharged.
Right. It's gonna be NA.
could be
He's
a,
not even gonna clean it.
I'm gonna put a Peugeot diesel in it or something.
it could be a 1275 with a turbo. One never knows.
But the point is, it's actually gonna be
It's gonna be a Mini.
series engine in it.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan.
There you go.
I have fast cars, and
Gotcha.
I'm making faster ones. So I don't really need it to be, and that's not really what I want it for. I want to be able to go out on mini club runs and not run them over all the time like I do with the GTI.
Right.
And you know.
So you were at the award ceremony at Mini Meet West, and I made the comment on how they should make a movie about what Patty Hopkirk and the guys did with the Monte Carlo Rally for a few years back in the 60s. Were you there when I said that?
I don't think I was.
All right, so I mentioned that, and Jeremy Thorpe yells out from the audience, as Jeremy Thorpe is prone to do.
Have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Have you ever seen a grown man naked? That was a different story, but what he hollered out at this particular moment was not that. That's another story. He said that before Patty Hopkirk had passed away, he had mentioned that they actually are putting something in the works about making a film about either, I don't know if it was about Patty himself or about what the Minis did at the Monte Carlo Rally, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up, because if you liked Ford versus Ferrari, it's a story that is every bit as cool as that, easily. I've thought they should make a movie about this for decades. Anyway, where I'm going with all this, Bill, is like Matt and I were talking this morning. Do you know what's going to happen to the value of classic Minis if that movie comes out and is successful?
It's not going to go down.
No. So you might have jumped on this one right at the right time.
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking. You know, that a lot of these classic cars, Minis have always been kind of towards the expensive end.
Especially lately.
Especially lately.
Ever since they came out with the new one.
Yeah, I was going to say, because when I started working when doing restorations and stuff on British cars was right about the time the new Minis first came out. And they just shot up in price. You couldn't get a nice one, in California at least, you couldn't really get a nice one for less than 10, 12 grand.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah, and that was in 2002, 2003. So they were just too expensive for my tastes. You know, I had Triumphs instead because they were cheap.
Well, that little black one, the one that I call Stanley, the one we just dropped off, I purchased that in early 2017, and I paid $9 grand for it. Admittedly, I think I got kind of a deal on it, and I've done some work on it since then. I haven't refurbished it, and without being silly, I feel I could comfortably sell it right now for 15. Now, James Thompson, who's the expert on it, more than I am anyway, certainly, he says 18, but he says 15 for sure. Now, I only bought the car in 2017.
Right. Yeah, you haven't had that one for very long.
No.
So. But yeah, I think they took a dip kind of mid-2000s.
Probably during the recession.
Well, partly that, you know, kind of everything went down a little bit, but partly because you started seeing a lot of them being re-imported from Japan and the UK. You know, when I first started in the early 2000s into the British car thing, mostly what you found were, you know, cars that had been imported to the US or Canada.
American import.
Yeah, they were North American cars originally, which mine is. It's Canadian originally, but in the late, probably 2010-ish era, you started seeing a lot of imports coming in.
Oh, people were making money off it. They were importing 5-6 at a time to flip them.
They were, well, because shipping was cheap enough you could just fill a container with them.
Yeah. Nice thing about a Mini, you can fit a bunch of them.
So they almost fit sideways in a container.
Yeah.
So you can get a number of them in a container. But so people were shipping over from both the UK and from Japan.
Now, we'll say the ones coming over from the UK, I think, are starting to dry up. I think we're starting to reach the bottom of the supply.
Right. We've seen 10 years or so of that importation, you know, back to here, and yes, the nice ones are gone.
Yeah, the ones that are coming over from the UK, by and large now, are
pretty rough.
Rust buckets.
Yeah.
And the Japanese models tend to be in better condition because, of course, the Japanese are far more strict on that.
Right, their rules for what's allowed on the road are a lot more strict. Although the British are too, with MOT and all that. They're fairly strict about rust and things like that as well. But so a lot of what you're seeing come over, I think, is probably stuff that got pulled out of somebody's shed that hadn't had a license on it in 15 years, and somebody's wife said, "Get that out of here," or the guy passed away, or whatever.
Gotcha.
But yeah, a lot of the nice ones are gone, and that's made the prices go back up again.
Yeah, even the Mark 5s, Mark 6s, so that's, you know, where the... Used to be, if you wanted to have a high dollar Mini, you're looking at the Mark 1s, 2s, maybe the 3s. But once you started getting into the Minis that were produced in the 70s and 80s, the price just dove. They just weren't
Yeah.
worth any. The fact that you're getting into an early 70s model, which, you know, years ago might not have been as valuable and collectible, or but now they're starting to become into their own. And again, as far as having everything stock and everything exactly as it rolled off the assembly line doesn't really matter so much on this one. The fact that it's got a 1275 instead of the 998 is actually a good thing.
Well,
Yeah,
so is aftermarket suspension too, right?
Well, some. At this point, it has adjustable arms on it, an adjustable rear camber caster
Nice.
pieces, which James didn't know about. I was asking him some questions about it. He actually went out and looked. He was like, "Oh, it already has these on it. I didn't know that."
Perfect.
It's like, oh,
Makes
awesome.
life much better.
Yeah. It doesn't have high-lows on it, which it will.
I've got that on mine and I like it.
Yeah, having adjustable suspension is never a bad thing.
Yeah. So what color is it going to be when you're done?
It's going to be a darkish blue. It's going to have a black Webasto sunroof in it, which is the sliding, folding cloth type. I'm not sure whether this was cloth or vinyl, but we'll see. Either way, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And then probably yellow striping.
That'll definitely be one of a kind, but you're not doing the typical bonnet stripes, right? You're doing something
Correct. I'm
different.
not going to do the Monte Carlo stripes down the sides of the hood. I'm going to do a single larger stripe in the center with a small stripe on either side, which is pretty common on British cars. You see it a lot on Sprites and Healey's and stuff like that. It's just not very commonly done on Minis. Minis tend to all be the Monte Carlo stripes on the side of the hood, or no stripes at all as a general rule.
Now, you will definitely have the only one with that color combo.
It's, you know, the factory on one of the late models actually made a blue with yellow stripes car.
I've never seen it.
It used Monte Carlo stripes.
Oh, right.
But they did one, and it's a good looking, it's a good combination. It's just not one that's done. You know, you see blue with white roof, blue with black roof. You know, even the silver with the black roof isn't very common.
Nice. Well, I'm excited. I know you got another couple of things you got to get to before you get started on this, but I'm definitely excited to see what happens.
Yeah, the Audi is precedent right at the moment. I want that. If I can get it running by next spring, I'll be happy.
Nice.
I'm still waiting on the cylinder head to come back from a shop down in Oregon that's redoing it. But
probably a little ambitious to think you'll have it at Mini Meet West next year, but you never know.
that would be highly ambitious.
Highly ambitious. Well, I'm excited to see what you're going to do with this thing. Let's get to your house and get it unloaded. And
Yeah, sounds
right.
like a good idea. Okay, so we're back again. You can meet what the former owner called Rusty for a very good reason. Rusty is a 1971 Morris Mini 1000 originally. He is currently looking for a new name because we're going to replace all the Rusty panels, and so he won't be Rusty anymore. And I don't want to jinx him with that name. So anyway, this was, as I said, a Canadian import. It was a 1000cc or 998 engine originally. It now has a 1275cc late model A plus engine with a later gearbox in it. Still 4-speed, just a later version of the one that came in Minis. So we'll take a walk around, and you can see as I go around here, right there at the base of the window, there's some bubbles. Right behind there, there's some bubbles. Bottoms of the doors. Rear quarters are really pretty good. The rear of the car is good. Inside the boot, which there's crap in here, but I'll show you anyway, is actually pretty good. There's no rust. I've been under the car on a lift, and you can't really find anything inside the boot, which is a blessing. Let's go back a little bit here and just walk around the car. As you said, there's a little bit of rust right down to the bottom corner there, and I have patch panels for that already. I have 2 new door skins. I have a complete floor. I have the A-pillar, which is right there. I have that panel and all the substructure behind it, either here or on order already. 2 new front fenders. a lower panel, which is this right here across the front of the car, and a new hood, bonnet, whichever you want to call it. I've got some of that in order and some of it's already here. You can see there's the door skins. There's the floor. The floor is a brand new British Leyland Heritage actually makes panels from the original pressings, and that's one of those. That's actually for a slightly later car, which will have the correct hole in the floor for the shifter for the later model gearbox. We'll take a quick look around inside. The Yellow Jacket just flew in, so that'll be fun. You can see here there's some destruction here. Lots of Dynamat holding moisture in the floor, which was not good. Not much to see. I mean, they're pretty minimal. It has the usual aftermarket door handles. It has different switches than it would have had, plus an extra little switch panel. That steering wheel was given to me. It had a wood one in it, which I hate originally. But yeah, been driving it around, and it is definitely a loose assemblage of parts, but we're going to make it all better. I've got a rotisserie, and it is going to come completely apart and go on the rotisserie and have rusty panels replaced. Then it will get painted a dark blue with a yellow stripe in the center. I will try and show you sort of the style of stripes I'm talking about. It'll get patched in here. So anyway, that's the quick look at the car. Oh, hey, we should probably look under the hood too, right? Not that it's that exciting. So as you can see, it is the usual mess that is British cars. You know, somebody's been into the wiring. They didn't come with ATO fuses originally. It runs quite well, actually. Like I said, I've driven it around some, and short a slipping clutch, it actually goes pretty well. And I am now missing the cover for the fuse box, which was there the other day. Probably fell out this morning when I went to lunch, or for breakfast, I should say. Anyway, that's probably going to get replaced, so it doesn't really matter too much. Anyway, that's kind of the whole thing. So we will talk to you later. It does run. Thank you, James. Probably closer to the normal idle speed. Sounds good though. Off we go. Okay, fourth is a bit interesting to find. And in the more interesting owner modifications, or previous owner modifications, we have the interesting floor cutout, which this car originally had what they call a remote shift gearbox, and it now currently has a later rod change gearbox. And the floor is a little bit different, so they sort of just made it work. The license plate was a particularly good modification that just kind of was sitting there like that. And I can't imagine why I might be having some issues shifting it. The whole thing, it's supposed to be mounted fairly securely. It's not. You just, this is the sort of stuff that when you buy a 51-year-old car that's not been restored, and sometimes when they have been restored, depends on who did it, this is the sort of thing you find. We'll get it right. It's getting a new floor. The new floor is actually the correct one for this gearbox, so that won't be a problem anymore, but it makes it interesting to drive now.